A rusted truck in a desert canyon hides a chilling secret. Can a son uncover the truth? Like and subscribe to catch the thrilling mystery in our latest video. The desert wind howled, kicking up sand that stung Elon's face as he knelt beside the rusted husk of a pickup truck, its frame twisted and half buried at the base of a jagged canyon. The sun blazed overhead, merciless, but Elon barely noticed, his heart pounding as he traced the faded paint Malala's truck, the one she and Greta drove into the wilderness 11 years ago, never to return. At 25, Elon was no longer the scrawny teen who'd watched his mother and half-sister vanish, but the pain was as raw as ever. He'd come back to this forsaken stretch of Nevada desert, driven by a gut feeling and a decade of unanswered questions. The truck's discovery was no accident. He'd spent months combing satellite maps, chasing rumors of a wreck no one dared touch. Now, here it was, a tomb of steel and secrets. His fingers brushed a dented door, and a chill ran through him, not from the wind but from the weight of what he might find. He pried the door open, metal groaning, and climbed inside, the air thick with dust and decay. The seats were shredded, the dashboard cracked, but something glinted under the passenger Seata metallic box, no bigger than a book, its surface scratched but intact. Elon's breath caught. This wasn't here by chance. He reached for it, but a shadow flickered across the canyon wall, and instinct kicked in. He dove behind the truck just as a gunshot cracked, the bullet ricocheting off the hood. "Stay down," a voice barked, low and menacing. Elon's pulse raced, his hand gripping the knife at his belt. He'd come alone, told no one, yet someone knew he was here. Peering through a gap in the wreckage, he saw 3 figures descending the canyon's rim, their rifles glinting. They moved like hunters, deliberate, their faces obscured by scarves against the sand. Elon cursed under his breath. He'd prepared for the desert's dangerous rattlesnakes, heat stroke but not an ambush. The box was still in the truck, and he wasn't leaving without it. He waited, heart hammering, until the nearest man was close, then lunged, tackling him into the sand. The man grunted, his rifle skittering away, but he was fast, drawing a knife. Elon parried, his own blade flashing, and drove his knee into the man's gut, sending him sprawling. "Who sent you?" Elon demanded, pinning him. The man spat, his eyes cold. "You're digging your own grave, kid." A second gunshot rang out, grazing Elon's shoulder, and he rolled, pain searing. The other 2 were closing in, their boots crunching. He scrambled back to the truck, grabbing the box and shoving it into his pack. The canyon was a death trap narrow, no cover. He had to move. Sprinting toward a cluster of boulders, he ducked as bullets chipped the stone. His truck was a mile away, hidden in a dry wash. But these men weren't amateurs. They'd cut him off if he didn't think fast. He spotted a narrow crevice in the canyon wall, barely wide enough for a man. It was a risk, but so was staying. He squeezed through, the rock scraping his arms, the box digging into his back. The crevice led to a ledge overlooking the desert, the vast emptiness both a promise and a threat. Voices echoed behind him, his pursuers relentless. Elon checked his shoulder. The wound was shallow, but bleeding. He tore a strip from his shirt, tying it tight, and opened the box, unable to wait. Inside was a folded letter in Malala's handwriting, a microchip, and a small recorder. His hands shook as he pressed play. Malala's voice, strained but fierce, filled the air. "Elon, if you find this, don't trust anyone in town. They're watching. Greta's with me, but we're not safe. The lab, it's under the sand. The recording cut off, static hissing. Elon's mind reeled. A lab? In this nowhere town? Malala had always been curious, a teacher who asked too many questions, but this was something else. The letter was brief, scrawled in haste. "Find Serena. She knows." Serena Williams, the ex-sheriff who'd been run out of town after Malala's disappearance. Elon pocketed the contents, his resolve hardening. He had to get out alive. The ledge gave him a vantage point, and he saw the men below, fanning out. One held a radio, speaking low. They weren't alone, headlights flickered in the distance. Another vehicle approaching. Elon's truck was too far, but he remembered a dry riverbed nearby, a path to the highway. He slid down the ledge, landing hard, and ran, the box secure in his pack. The riverbed was treacherous, loose stones rolling underfoot, but he pushed on, adrenaline drowning the pain. The headlights grew closer, tires crunching. A jeep burst into view, cutting him off, and Elon dove behind a scrub bush, knife ready. The driver stepped out, a woman, her silhouette tall and commanding. "Elon Musk," she called, her voice steady. "I'm Serena. Malala sent me." Elon hesitated, the recorder's warning ringing in his ears. "Prove it," he growled. She held up a photo: Malala, Greta, and a younger Elon, one he'd thought lost. "She gave me this before she went missing. We don't have time. They're coming." A rifle shot echoed, and Serena ducked, pulling a pistol. "Move," she shouted. They sprinted down the riverbed, the jeep's engine roaring as it pursued. Serena fired back, her shots precise, shattering a headlight. Elon's legs burned, but he kept pace, the box his only link to the truth. They reached a bend, where Serena's truck waited, hidden by brush. "Get in," she barked, sliding behind the wheel. Elon dove into the passenger seat, and the truck roared to life, kicking up sand. The jeep gained, bullets pinging the tailgate. Serena swerved, navigating the rough terrain like a pro, but a second vehicle joined the chase, its lights blinding. "Who are these people?" Elon yelled, clutching the box. Serena's eyes were grim. The town's dirty secret. Malala got too close, and they made her pay. The highway loomed, a ribbon of asphalt under the stars. Serena floored it, the truck shaking, and the pursuers fell back, their jeeps no match for her speed. Elon's shoulder throbbed, but his mind was on the box, Malala's voice, the lab under the sand. Whatever she'd found, it was worth killing for, and he'd tear this desert apart to uncover it. The truck's tires hummed on the desert highway, the night swallowing the glow of the pursuer's headlights as Serena pushed the engine to its limit. Elon sat in the passenger seat, his shoulder burning from the graze wound, the metallic box clutched tightly in his lap. Malala's voice from the recorder echoed in his mind. "Don't trust anyone in town," and the weight of her warning pressed against his chest. Serena's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, her grip on the wheel steady. "We've lost them for now," she said, her voice low but edged with urgency. "But they'll be back. Where's the chip?" Elon hesitated, his trust thin after the ambush. He slid the microchip from the box, holding it up to the dashboard's faint light. "What's this worth to you?" he asked. Serena's jaw tightened. "It's worth everything Malala fought for. She came to me in 12, said she'd found something in the desert, something big. I didn't listen hard enough. Then she was gone." Elon's throat tightened, memories of that year flooding back. He was 14, lanky and angry, living with Malala and Greta in their small Nevada home, a place filled with his mother's laughter and his half-sister's endless questions. Malala, a teacher with a fire for justice, had planned the camping trip as a break from her long hours advocating for migrant workers in town. Greta, only 5, had begged to bring her stuffed rabbit. Elon stayed behind, grounded for sneaking out with friends, his last words to Malala a sullen, "Whatever." When they didn't return, he thought they'd just extended the trip. Then the sheriff called, and the world shattered. Search parties scoured the desert for weak drones, dogs, volunteers, but found nothing. The town whispered, "A sandstorm, a wrong turn, a tragedy." Elon didn't buy it, not when Malala knew the desert like her own skin. He'd sneak into her study, rifling through her notes, finding maps marked with strange coordinates and a name, Ares Group. The sheriff dismissed it as nothing, but Elon's gut screamed otherwise. Now, 11 years later, he was back, chasing the ghost of that name. Serena pulled into a rundown motel on the outskirts of town, its neon sign flickering. "We lay low here," she said, cutting the engine. "The chip needs a reader, and I know someone who can help." Inside the cramped room, Elon set the box on a table, its contents spilling out. The letter, the chip, the recorder. He played the recording again, Malala's voice raw with fear. "The lab. It's under the sand. They're watching." Serena's eyes darkened. Ares Group. That's who she meant. They're a front private security, but they run the town. Always have. Elon's fists clenched. "Why didn't you do something back then?" Serena's gaze dropped. "I tried. I was sheriff, pushed too hard on Malala's case, found tire tracks that didn't match her truck, but the evidence vanished. Next thing, I'm framed for corruption, forced out." Ares made sure of it. Elon's anger softened, replaced by resolve. "Then we take them down." Serena nodded. pulling a laptop from her bag. First, we need the chip's data. She called her contact, a hacker named Ada, after Ada Lovelace, who'd gone dark after crossing Aries. While they waited, Elon's mind drifted to 2012, to the town's eerie silence after the disappearance. He'd stayed with his aunt, dodging reporters, but overheard whispers at the diner talk of accidents in the desert, of people who asked too many questions and vanished. One name kept surfacing: Nelson. After Nelson Mandela, the mayor who'd been in power forever, his smile too perfect, his influence ironclad. Elon had confronted him once, a desperate teen demanding answers. Nelson's pat on the shoulder felt like a threat. A knock jolted Elon back. Serena drew her pistol, but it was Ada, a wiry woman with a laptop and a nervous glance. "This better be worth it," Ada muttered, plugging the chip in. The screen lit up with files, blueprints, financial records, a list of names. Malala's notes were there, detailing a hidden facility under the desert, funded by Ares to test biochemical agents. One entry chilled Elon. "They're using the workers. Disposable." Greta's name was listed too, marked priority subject. Elon's blood ran cold. "They took her alive." Serena's voice was grim. "Looks like it." Malala must have stumbled onto their operation. Ada froze, her screen flashing red. "They're tracking us." The chips got a beacon. Before they could react, the motel window shattered, glass spraying. Men in black tactical gear stormed in, their rifles raised. "Down!" Serena shouted, firing her pistol. Elon grabbed the box, diving behind the bed as bullets tore through the wall. Ada screamed, clutching her laptop, but a dart hit her neck, and she collapsed. Serena tackled one man, her fist cracking his jaw, but another grabbed Elon, his grip like iron. "The chip. Now," the man growled. Elon drove his knife into the man's thigh, twisting free. Serena tossed a chair, smashing a second attacker, and pulled Elon toward the door. "Run!" They burst into the parking lot, the truck's engine roaring as Serena floored it. Headlights flared behind them, Ares men relentless. Elon clutched the box, Malala's words burning in his mind. The chase tore through the town, past the diner, the church, the mayor's office where Nelson's shadow loomed. A bullet shattered the rear window, and Serena swerved, the truck fishtailing. "We can't outrun them," Elon yelled. Serena's eyes flicked to a side road. "We don't. We hide." She veered into an abandoned quarry, the truck skidding into a maze of gravel pits. The pursuers followed, but Serena knew the terrain, weaving through narrow paths until the headlights faded. They stopped, hearts pounding, the desert silent. Elon opened the box again, rereading Malala's letter. "Find Serena. She knows." "You knew about the lab," he said, his voice sharp. Serena nodded, guilt in her eyes. "Malala told me she'd seen lights in the desert, trucks moving at night. I thought she was paranoid. I was wrong." Elon's resolve hardened. "Then we find it. For her. For Greta." Serena checked her pistol, her face set. "Ares runs this town, but they're not invincible. We've got the chip, the proof. We just need to stay alive." The quarry's shadows hid them, but Elon knew Ares was watching. The town he'd grown up in was a lie, and Malala had paid the price for uncovering it. He wouldn't stop until he brought it down, no matter what it took. The quarry's silence was a fragile shield, broken only by the distant howl of coyotes and the crunch of gravel under Elon's boots. He crouched beside Serena's truck, the metallic box open in his hands, its contents Malala's letter, the microchip, the recorder glowing faintly under the starlit sky. Serena scanned the shadows, her pistol ready, her face etched with the weight of years spent running from Ares Group's reach. The ambush at the motel had left them shaken, Ada's fate unknown, and the chip's beacon meant Ares was still hunting. Elon's shoulder throbbed, but his focus was on the recorder. He pressed play, and Malala's voice filled the air again, urgent, fractured. "Elon, if you're hearing this, you've found the truth. The lab under the sand, it's Ares. They're testing something monstrous. Greta's with me, but they want her. Don't trust Nelson. He's one of them." The recording crackled, cut off by a muffled scream. Elon's heart clenched, his mother's fear a knife in his chest. Serena's eyes narrowed. "Nelson Mandela, the mayor. I knew he was dirty, but this deep?" Elon's jaw tightened. He was at every search party playing the hero. He lied to my face. The letter, scrawled in Malala's hand, burned in his grip. Find Serena. She knows. He turned to her. What else did she tell you? Serena hesitated, guilt flickering. She came to me a week before the trip, said she'd seen trucks in the desert, unmarked, moving at night. She followed one, found a hatch in the sand, thought it was a smuggling operation. I told her to stay out of it, but Malala, she never backed down. Elon's mind raced, piecing it together. The chip held the key, but they needed a safe place to read it. Serena pulled a burner phone from her pack. I've got another contact, Alan Turing, ex-military tech guy. He's off-grid, hates Ares. He can crack the chip. They drove, the quarry fading behind them, the highway a black ribbon under the moon. Turing's hideout was an hour away, a shack buried in the hills, camouflaged by scrub and rusted junk. Elon kept the box close, Malala's voice looping in his head. He remembered her teaching him to question everything, her fire inspiring his own. Losing her and Greta had broken him, but this fight was his now. The shack's door creaked open, revealing Turing, a grizzled man with sharp eyes and a laptop rigged with cables. You're late, he grunted, ushering them inside. The air smelled of solder and coffee. Turing plugged the chip into his system, his screen flooding with data. Blueprints flashed tunnels, chambers, a sprawling complex under the desert. Financial records linked Ares to offshore accounts, and a memo marked Project Erebus, detailed biochemical tests on disposable subjects. Elon's stomach churned. Migrant workers, he whispered. Malala was fighting for them, Turing nodded. And kids. Look. A file listed priority subjects. Greta's name among them, tagged for neural enhancement. Malala's notes were attached, frantic. They're altering them. Minds, bodies. Greta's next. Elon slammed his fist on the table. They took her for this? Serena gripped his shoulder. We'll find her. But we need to move. The chip's beacon is still active. As if on cue, the shack's lights flickered, and a low rumble shook the ground. Turing cursed, yanking a shotgun from under his desk. They're here. Headlights pierced the windows, and engines roared 3 SUVs. Ares men spilling out. Elon grabbed the box, shoving the chip inside, as Serena kicked open a back door. Go, she shouted. Turing fired, the shotgun's blast deafening, dropping one man, but a grenade sailed through the window, exploding in a shower of sparks. The shack caught fire, flames licking the walls. Elon sprinted into the hills, Serena beside him, Turing covering their retreat. Bullets whizzed past, one clipping Turing's leg. He stumbled, waving them on. Keep the chip safe, he yelled, turning to face the attackers. Elon hesitated, but Serena pulled him forward. He's buying us time. Don't waste it. They plunged into a dry wash, the fire's glow behind them, Turing's shotgun echoing until it stopped. Elon's chest tightened, another life lost to Ares. The wash led to a ridge, where Serena's backup truck waited, hidden under a tarp. They climbed in, the engines sputtering to life, and tore down a dirt road, the SUVs in pursuit. Elon gripped the box, the chip their only leverage. What's Project Erebus? He demanded. Serena swerved, dodging a hail of bullets. Bioweapons, maybe, or worse, mind control. Malala must have seen it in the lab. The lead SUV rammed their bumper, and Elon braced, the truck fishtailing. Serena floored it, aiming for a narrow canyon. Hold on, she shouted. The canyon's walls closed in, the SUVs too wide to follow, their tires screeching as they stopped. Elon exhaled, but the victory was fleeting. Serena's phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. Give us the chip, or the girl dies. Attached was a photo. Greta, older, her face gaunt, eyes hollow, in a sterile room. Elon's blood ran cold. She's alive, he whispered, hope and fear colliding. Serena's voice was steel. Then we hit the lab. It's our only shot. They drove deeper into the desert, the chip's data a map to the truth. Elon played the recorder again, Malala's final words searing. Elon, you're stronger than you know. Save her. He looked at Serena, her face set with the same fire Malala had. The town's lights twinkled in the distance, a facade hiding Ares' rot. Nelson's name loomed in Elon's mind, the mayor who'd smiled while Malala and Greta suffered. The lab was close, buried under the sand, and Elon would tear it apart to find his sister. But Ares was watching, their grip tightening. Serena checked her pistol, her eyes meeting his. Ready to burn this down? Elon nodded, the box heavy in his hands. For Malala, for Greta. The desert stretched before them, a battlefield of secrets, and Elon stepped into it, ready to fight. The desert night was a blur of sand and shadow as Serena's truck roared through the dunes, its headlights carving a fleeting path in the endless dark. Elon gripped the dashboard, the metallic box in his lap, its contents Malala's letter, the chip, the recorder's only tether to the truth about his mother and sister. The image of Greta, gaunt and hollow-eyed in Ares' photo, burned in his mind, a mix of hope and dread fueling his resolve. Serena's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, her knuckles white on the wheel. "They're still out there," she muttered, spotting the faint glow of headlights cresting a distant ridge. Ares Group's hunters were relentless, their SUVs cutting through the desert like wolves. Elon checked his knife, the blade a small comfort against the firepower chasing them. "How far to the lab?" he asked, his voice steady despite the pain in his shoulder. Serena swerved to avoid a boulder, the truck rattling. 10 miles, maybe less. The chip's blueprints showed an entrance near a dry lakebed, but Ares knows we're coming. The radio crackled, a distorted voice breaking through. "Surrender the chip, or the girl's blood is on you." Elon's fist clenched, Greta's face flashing before him. Serena killed the headlights, plunging them into darkness, and veered into a narrow wash, the truck's tires grinding against rock. "They're trying to scare us," she said. "We don't stop." The wash was a gamble, its walls tight, but it hid them from the SUVs. Elon's mind raced, replaying Malala's recording. The lab, it's under the sand. Whatever she'd found, it was worth her life and Greta's. The wash opened to a flat expanse, the dry lakebed shimmering under the moon. Serena slowed, scanning for the entrance. "There," she pointed, spotting a rusted hatch half buried in the sand, its edges marked by tire tracks. Elon's pulse spiked. This was it. They parked behind a dune, the truck's engine ticking as it cooled. Serena grabbed her pistol and a flashlight, handing Elon a crowbar from the back. "Stay sharp," she warned. "Ares guards these places like forts." They crept to the hatch, the desert silent but alive with threat. Elon pried it open, metal screeching, revealing a dark tunnel sloping downward. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of oil and chemicals. Serena led, her flashlight cutting through the gloom, but Elon froze, spotting something carved into the hatch's underside. "My 2012. Malala Yousafzai," his mother's initials. "She was here," he whispered, his voice breaking. Serena's hand rested on his shoulder. "We'll find out what happened. Move." The tunnel descended into a concrete corridor, its walls lined with pipes and flickering lights. Elon's crowbar felt heavy, his senses on edge. Footsteps echoed ahead, and Serena doused the flashlight, pulling him behind a crate. 2 guards in tactical gear passed, their radios crackling. "Perimeter's clear. Check the holding cells." Elon's heart stopped. Cells. Greta could be here. Serena motioned forward, and they slipped deeper, the corridor branching into a maze. They found a locked door, its keypad glowing. Serena pulled a device from her Packer lockpick. Turing had given her and worked fast, the door hissing open. Inside was a control room, screens displaying camera feeds, tunnels, labs, and a chilling sight cages, some empty, others holding figures too small to be adults. Elon's breath caught, searching for Greta. One screen showed a lab, equipment humming, vials of glowing liquid on tables. A whiteboard bore Malala's handwriting, "Stop Erebus, save G." Serena's face hardened. She fought them here. Elon's eyes burned, pride and pain mixing. Malala had never given up. A guard's shout snapped them back. "Intruders!" Alarms blared, red lights flashing. Serena fired, dropping the guard. But more came, boots pounding. Elon swung his crowbar, cracking a man's helmet, and they ran, the control room screens exploding behind them as bullets flew. The corridor shook, dust falling, and Elon realized Ares was sealing the exits. "We're trapped," he yelled. Serena grabbed his arm, pulling him toward a stairwell. "Not yet. The lab's below." They descended, the air growing colder, the hum of machinery louder. The lab was vast, sterile, its walls lined with monitors and tanks of murky fluid. Elon spotted a table, stained with blood, and a child's shoe, Greta's, from 2012, its laces frayed. His knees buckled, but Serena steadied him. She's alive. Focus. A door at the far end opened, and a man stepped out, his face obscured by a mask, his voice cold. You're persistent, Musk, like your mother. Elon's rage flared. Where's Greta? The man laughed, raising a pistol. You'll see her, as a test subject. Serena fired first, her bullet grazing his arm, and he dove behind a tank. Guards stormed in, and the lab became a battlefield. Elon swung his crowbar, shattering a monitor, while Serena's pistol cracked, dropping 2 men. The masked man retreated, triggering a lockdown, steel shutters slamming down. Elon pried at a vent, his hands shaking. We can't let him get away. Serena tossed a smoke grenade, the room filling with haze, and they crawled through the vent, its metal walls claustrophobic. It led to a lower level, a holding area with cells. Elon's flashlight caught a name scratched into a wall. Greta Thunberg. His sister had been here, fighting like Malala. A guard lunged from the dark, and Elon tackled him, his crowbar striking true. Serena checked the cells empty, but fresh blood stained the floor. They moved her, she said, her voice grim. The masked man's voice echoed over an intercom. You're too late. Erebus is complete. The facility shook, explosions rumbling above. Ares was destroying evidence. Elon grabbed a radio from the fallen guard, hearing orders. Evacuate. Eliminate witnesses. Serena's eyes met his. We find Greta, or we die trying. They ran, the facility collapsing around them, pipes bursting, sparks flying. Elon clutched the box, Malala's proof of Ares's crimes, and swore he'd make them pay. The tunnel ahead was their only hope, but the masked man's laughter lingered, a promise of more blood to come. The underground facility groaned, its walls buckling as explosions rocked the desert above, sending dust and sparks cascading through the collapsing tunnels. Elon sprinted alongside Serena, his boots slipping on the slick concrete, the metallic box tucked under his arm like a lifeline. The air was thick with smoke, the alarm's wail fading into a dull roar as Ares Group's self-destruct sequence tore their secrets apart. Serena's flashlight flickered, casting jagged shadows, her pistol raised for the next threat. Elon's heart pounded, Greta's name carved into the cell wall burning in his mind. She'd been here, so close, yet slipped away again. The masked man's words echoed, Erebus is complete. Whatever that meant, it was tied to Greta, and Elon would rip this place apart to find her. They rounded a corner, the tunnel narrowing, and Serena skidded to a stop, raising a hand. Listen, she whispered. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, approached from the dark. Elon gripped his crowbar, his shoulder wound throbbing but ignored. A figure emerged, not a guard but a man in a crisp suit, his face eerily calm amidst the chaos. Elon Musk, he said, his voice smooth, familiar. You're as stubborn as Malala. Elon's blood ran cold. It was Nelson, the mayor, his smile as polished as ever, but his eyes held a predator's glint. Serena aimed her pistol. Back off, Nelson. We know what you've done. Nelson chuckled, unfazed, a silenced pistol in his hand. You know nothing. Malala thought she could expose us too. Look where that got her. Elon's rage surged, but he held steady, the box heavy with Malala's truth. Where's Greta? He demanded. Nelson's smile widened. Safe, for now. Hand over the chip, and she might stay that way. Serena's finger tightened on the trigger, but a distant explosion shook the tunnel, and Nelson dove behind a pipe, firing. Bullets ricocheted, and Elon tackled Serena to the ground, the crowbar clattering. He's stalling, Serena hissed, returning fire. Nelson slipped into a side passage, his laughter echoing. Elon grabbed the crowbar and ran after him, Serena shouting, Don't! It's a trap! But Elon couldn't stop. Nelson knew where Greta was. The passage was tight, lined with rusted pipes, and it led to a small chamber, its walls scarred with claw marks. Nelson stood at the far end, his pistol aimed. You're predictable, he said. Like mother, like son. Elon lunged, the crowbar swinging, but Nelson sidestepped, his pistol cracking against Elon's temple. Pain exploded, and Elon staggered, blood dripping into his eyes. Nelson kicked the crowbar away, looming over him. Malala begged for Greta's life. Want to hear how she died? Elon's vision blurred, but the box was still in his grip. He fumbled for the recorder, pressing play, and Malala's voice filled the chamber, raw and defiant. Elon, they're using US-Me, Greta the workers. Erebus is their weapon, a virus to control minds. I hid the chip in the truck. Find it. Stop them. Nelson's face twisted, and he aimed at the recorder, but Elon rolled, grabbing his legs, bringing him down. They grappled, fists and elbows flying, the chamber shaking as another explosion hit. Malala's voice continued, a beacon through the pain. Greta's strong, but they want her potential. I fought them, hid her for as long as I could. The box, it's for you. Elon drove his fist into Nelson's jaw, blood spraying, and scrambled for the crowbar. Nelson fired, the bullet grazing Elon's arm, but Elon swung, the crowbar cracking Nelson's wrist. The pistol fell, and Elon pinned him, his voice a growl. What did you do to them? Nelson spat blood, his smile gone. Malala was a problem. She saw the lab, the tests. We kept her alive. For a while. Greta was special. Erebus needed her. Elon's heart shattered, but Malala's voice pushed him on. Elon, you're my strength. Save her. I love you. The recording ended, and silence fell, broken only by the facility's death throes. Serena burst in, her pistol raised, and kicked Nelson's gun away. Where's the girl? She demanded. Nelson laughed, choking on blood. You'll never find her. Erebus is alive. Elon's crowbar hovered, but Serena grabbed his arm. He's not worth it. We need him alive. They bound Nelson with cable ties, dragging him as the tunnel collapsed, debris raining down. Serena led the way, her flashlight catching a hidden door, its lock broken. Inside was a storage room, crates of vials labeled Erebus, and a single photo pinned to a board. Malala, bruised but defiant, holding Greta, their eyes locked on the camera. Elon's tears fell, but he took the photo, tucking it into the box. The facility's core was failing, lights flickering, pipes bursting. They hauled Nelson through a final tunnel, emerging into the desert as dawn broke, the lab's entrance collapsing in a cloud of sand. Serena's truck was gone, destroyed in the chaos, but a stolen Ares Jeep waited nearby. They threw Nelson in the back, his smugness fading as he realized his empire was crumbling. Elon clutched the box, Malala's recording a map to the truth. She hid Greta, he said, his voice raw. She's out there. Serena nodded, starting the Jeep. Then we keep looking. The chip's data will tell us where. The desert stretched before them, a battlefield of secrets, but Malala's voice lingered, guiding Elon. Nelson's confession confirmed the town's complicity. Ares had bought their silence, their loyalty, but Greta was alive, and Elon would find her, no matter the cost. As they sped toward the highway, a radio in the Jeep crackled, a voice hissing, "All units, converge. Eliminate Musk." Serena's eyes met Elon's, fierce with resolve. "Let them come," she said. Elon gripped the box, Malala's love, his armor, and prepared for the fight ahead. The desert sun scorched the horizon, casting long shadows as Serena's stolen Ares Jeep tore across the dunes, kicking up clouds of sand. Elon sat in the passenger seat, the metallic box on his lap, Malala's photo and recorder tucked inside, her voice a constant echo in his mind. Save her. In the back, Nelson, the mayor and Ari's puppet, sat bound, his smug demeanor cracked by the reality of his crumbling empire. Serena's eyes were fixed on the road, her pistol within reach, the chip's data guiding them to Ari's primary lava fortified complex, hidden beneath an abandoned oil rig, its coordinates pulled from the files. Turing died to decrypt. Elon's heart pounded, Greta's hollow-eyed image from Ares' threat burning in his chest. She was alive, but at what cost? The Jeep's radio crackled, a voice barking orders. "All units, protect the rig. Musk is priority." Serena smirked grimly. "They're scared." Elon gripped his crowbar, his shoulder and arm wounds throbbing but ignored. They should be. The rig loomed ahead, a skeletal tower against the sky, surrounded by razor wire and guarded by drones. Serena parked behind a dune, scanning the perimeter. Biometric locks, armed patrols, and those drones have tasers. We need a plan. Elon glanced at Nelson, who sneered. "You'll die before you reach her." Elon's crowbar twitched, but he held back, needing Nelson alive for now. Serena pulled a satchel from the jeep, packed with explosives scavenged from Turing's shack. "We blow a hole in their defenses. Get in. Find Greta. Get out." They crept toward the rig, the desert's heat suffocating. Nelson dragged along as leverage. Elon spotted a drainage grate, its bolts rusted, and pried it open with his crowbar. The screech of metal drowned by the rig's hum. The tunnel was narrow, reeking of chemicals, but it led beneath the complex. Serena took point, her flashlight catching graffiti on the wall's names, dates, pleas for help. One stood out, Greta T. 2019. Elon's breath caught. His sister had survived 7 years here. The tunnel opened into a loading bay, crates of Erebus vials stacked high. Guards patrolled, their radios buzzing. Serena tossed a smoke grenade, the bay filling with haze, and they moved, silent and swift. Elon took down a guard with a chokehold, stealing his keycard, while Serena disarmed another, her movements precise. Nelson stumbled, slowing them, but Elon yanked him forward. "Move or I leave you." A steel door loomed, its keypad glowing. The keycard worked, revealing a sterile corridor lined with labs. Monitors displayed test subjects, children, adults, their brains wired to machines, their eyes vacant. Elon's stomach churned, but he pushed on, Greta's name driving him. An alarm blared, red lights flashing. "They know we're here," Serena hissed, drawing her pistol. Guards flooded the corridor, and gunfire erupted. Elon swung his crowbar, shattering a rifle, while Serena's shots dropped 2 men. Nelson tried to run, but Elon tackled him, slamming him against a wall. "Where's Greta?" he roared. Nelson spat blood, laughing. With her now. A door at the corridor's end hissed open, and a woman stepped out, her presence commanding, her suit pristine despite the chaos. "Elon Musk," she said, her voice cold. "You've inherited Malala's recklessness." Elon froze, recognizing her Oprah Winfrey, the town's philanthropist, a global icon whose charity funded the town's schools, hospitals, and lies. "You?" he choked. Oprah's smile was sharp. Ares needed a face. Malala threatened that. "Greta, she's our triumph." Serena aimed her pistol, but drones swarmed in, their tasers crackling. Elon dove, pulling Serena behind a crate, as Nelson crawled to Oprah, whimpering. "End them," Oprah ordered, retreating. The drones attacked, but Serena lobbed an explosive, frying their circuits. Guards charged, and Elon fought, his crowbar a blur, blood splattering. Serena's pistol jammed, and a guard pinned her, his knife flashing. Elon drove his crowbar into the man's back, saving her, but more came. "The lab?" Serena yelled, pointing to Oprah's door. They burst through, finding a chamber of horror stanks of glowing liquid, monitors showing neural scans, and in the center, a glass cell. Inside was Greta, 16 now, her hair matted, her body wired to electrodes, her eyes flickering with fear and recognition. "Greta!" Elon screamed, smashing the cell's lock with his crowbar. She collapsed into his arms, trembling, her voice a whisper. "Elon, they changed me." Serena checked her pulse, her face grim. "She's alive, but Erebusit's in her." Guards stormed in, and Oprah's voice crackled over an intercom. "You can't stop progress." Elon carried Greta, her weight light but heavy with pain, as Serena set the last explosive. "We're ending this," she said, tossing it at the tanks. The lab erupted, flames roaring, and they ran, the complex shaking. Drones chased, their tasers grazing Elon's arm, but he shielded Greta, his strength unrelenting. Serena fired, clearing a path, but a guard tackled her, his fist cracking her jaw. Elon swung, dropping him, and pulled Serena up. The tunnel was collapsing, debris falling, but they reached the loading bay, Nelson abandoned in the chaos. Outside, the rig burned, its tower crumbling. Serena hotwired an Ares truck, and they sped into the desert, Greta curled in Elon's lap, her breathing shallow. "Stay with me," he whispered. Malala's photo pressed to her hand. Serena's eyes met his, blood on her face. "She's been through hell. We need a doctor." The chip's data, still in the box, held the key to exposing Oprah and Ares, but Greta's condition was a new wound. Erebus had scarred her mind, but she was alive, and Elon would fight for her recovery. The desert stretched, A battlefield of truths, and Oprah's empire was cracking, but the war wasn't over. Elon held his sister, vowing to burn Ares to the ground. The stolen Ares truck rattled across the desert, its engine straining under the weight of their escape. Elon held Greta close, her frail body trembling against him, her eyes flickering with the ghosts of Erebus's experiments. The metallic box, Malala's legacy, rested at his feet, its chip and recorder the keys to dismantling Ares Group's empire. Serena drove, her face bloodied but resolute, her pistol on the dash as the dawn painted the dunes red. The burning oil rig, Ares' primary lab, was a fading glow behind them, but Elon knew Oprah's reach was far from broken. Greta's shallow breaths were a reminder of the stakes Erebus had scarred her mind, and time was running out to save her. Serena's burner phone buzzed, a message from a contact in Reno. "Safe house ready. Doctor waiting. We get Greta help," Serena said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Then we leak the chip's data." Elon nodded, his jaw tight. "Oprah's going down, all of them." The safe house was a run-down warehouse on Reno's outskirts, its windows boarded, its interior lit by flickering bulbs. A doctor, introduced as Marie, after Marie Curie, waited with a med kit, her eyes widening at Greta's condition. "She's stable, but the neural damage, it's extensive," Marie said, hooking Greta to an IV. Elon's heart sank, but Greta's fingers twitched, gripping his hand. "Elon," she whispered, her voice raw, "don't let them win." He kissed her forehead, Malala's photo in his pocket a silent vow. Serena plugged the chip into a laptop, its files flooding the screen blueprints, financials, Project Erebus's horrors. "We send this to every news outlet, every agency," she said. "But Ares will hit back hard." Elon's eyes burned. Let them try. They uploaded the data, the warehouse's satellite dish beaming it to the world. Within hours, headlines erupted. Desert conspiracy, bioweapon tests on children exposed. Protests flared, and federal agents raided Ares' fronts. But the town fought back, its loyalty to Oprah and Nelson still missing after the rig's collapse-clad. Social media buzzed with lies. Elon Musk, traitor, fabricates evidence. The safe house's radio crackled with local chatter. "Find Musk, he's tearing us apart." Elon's stomach churned. The town he'd grown up in, where Malala taught and Greta played, had sold its soul to Ares. Serena checked her pistol, her face grim. "They're coming. We need to move Greta." Marie shook her head. "She's too weak. Another day, maybe." Elon stood, his crowbar in hand. "Then we hold here." Night fell, and headlights pierced the warehouse's shadows. SUVs circled, Ares' men spilling out, their rifles glinting. Serena barricaded the door, her explosives rigged as a last resort. "They want the chip," she said, "and us dead." Elon gripped Greta's hand, her eyes fluttering open. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have protected you." She squeezed back, faint but fierce. "You're here now." The first attack came fast, a battering ram splintering the door. Serena fired, dropping a man while Elon swung his crowbar, cracking another's skull. Smoke grenades rolled in, choking the air, and gunfire shredded the walls. Marie shielded Greta, her medkit scattered. Elon fought through the haze, his wounds screaming, but every strike was for Malala, for Greta. Serena lobbed an explosive, the blast shaking the warehouse, but more men came, relentless. A voice boomed outside. "Surrender, Musk, or we burn you out." Elon recognized it. Oprah, her calm facade gone, her rage raw. Serena's eyes met his. "We can't win this." Elon's resolve hardened. "Then we take her with us." He grabbed the laptop, streaming the chip's data live, his voice cutting through the chaos. "This is Elon Musk. Ares Group tortured my sister, killed my mother. Oprah Winfrey runs it. The proof's here." The feed went viral, millions watching as gunfire raged. Oprah's scream echoed, "Kill him!" A rocket tore through the wall, the warehouse crumbling. Elon shielded Greta, debris cutting his arms, while Serena dragged Marie to cover. The attackers stormed in, and Elon fought, his crowbar a blur, but a bullet grazed his leg, and he fell. Serena stood over him, her pistol blazing, but a sniper's shot hit her chest, and she staggered, blood soaking her shirt. "Serena!" Elon roared, crawling to her. She pressed her pistol into his hand, her voice weak. Get Greta out. Finish this. Her eyes closed, and Elon's tears fell, rage overtaking grief. He fired, dropping 2 men, and carried Greta, her weight light but crushing. Marie followed, clutching her medkit. They reached a back exit, the warehouse burning, and Elon hotwired an Ares SUV, speeding into the night. Oprah's men pursued, their headlights blinding, but Elon swerved through Reno's back streets, losing them in the maze. Greta's breathing steadied, Marie's injections keeping her alive. The chip's data was out, Ares' secrets exposed, but Serena's sacrifice was a fresh wound. Elon stopped at a gas station, the city's lights flickering, news screens showing Oprah's arrest handcuffed, her empire collapsing. But the town's anger lingered, graffiti branding Elon a traitor. He looked at Greta, her face peaceful in sleep, and Malala's photo, her smile unbroken. Serena had given her life for this moment, and Elon wouldn't let it be in vain. The SUV's radio crackled, a federal agent's voice. "Musk, we're tracking you. Safe extraction in 1 hour." Elon gripped the wheel, the box at his feet, its contents the spark that burned Ares down. He drove toward the rendezvous, Greta's hand in his, vowing to heal her, to honor Malala and Serena. The desert was behind them, but its secrets were laid bare, and justice, though bloody, was theirs. The desert wind carried the scent of ash and redemption as Elon drove the stolen Ares SUV toward the federal rendezvous point, Reno's neon lights fading in the rearview mirror. Greta lay across the back seat, her breathing steady but fragile, the IV line taped to her arm by Marie, who sat beside her, monitoring her pulse. The metallic box, Malala's final gift, rested at Elon's feet, its contents a letter, the chip, the recorder, her photo a beacon through the darkness of the past 11 years. Serena's sacrifice burned in his chest, her last words, "Finish this a vow he'd keep." The radio crackled with updates. Oprah's arrest dominated headlines, her empire unraveling as the chip's data exposed Ares Group's atrocities. But the town's venom lingered, its people branding Elon a traitor for shattering their illusion of innocence. He gripped the wheel, Greta's hand in his, and swore to heal her, to honor Malala and Serena with a future free of Ares' shadow. The rendezvous was a dusty airstrip where federal agents waited beside a helicopter, their faces grim but professional. Elon Musk? One called, a woman named Angela, after Angela Merkel, her badge glinting. "You're safe now." Elon carried Greta, her weight a reminder of her fragility, and handed the chip to Angela. "Everything's on there," he said, his voice raw. "Erebus, the labs. The kids make sure it sticks." Angela nodded, her eyes softening at Greta's condition. "We've got teams raiding Ares sites worldwide. Oprah's talking, implicating the rest. You've done more than you know." Marie helped transfer Greta to a stretcher, and the helicopter lifted off, the desert shrinking below. In a secure hospital in Las Vegas, Greta was placed in a specialized unit, her neural damage from Erebus, a battle only time could win. Elon stayed by her side, sleeping in a chair, Malala's photo on the bedside table. Days turned to weeks, and Greta's eyes grew clearer, her voice stronger. "You found me," she said one morning, her hand squeezing his. Elon's tears fell, a smile breaking through. "Always will." The world outside roared with change. The chip's data led to hundreds of arrests, politicians, CEOs, Nelson's crony siege, a thread in Ares' web. Protests demanded justice for the victims, migrant workers and children like Greta, their stories no longer buried. Elon testified in closed hearings, his voice steady as he recounted Malala's fight, Serena's sacrifice, and Greta's survival. The town, once a fortress of lies, faced its reckoning, residents split between shame and defiance, some leaving, others rebuilding. Elon and Greta returned to their old home in Nevada, its walls still holding Malala's warmth. Greta, now 17, struggled with nightmares, her mind scarred by Erebus, but therapy with a doctor named Maya, after Maya Angelou, helped her reclaim pieces of herself. She painted, her canvases vivid with desert hues, a way to process the years lost. Elon took up Malala's old camera, capturing Greta's tentative smiles, the town's slow healing, moments of light after the dark. One afternoon he found Greta in the backyard, sketching Malala's face from memory. "She never gave up on me," Greta said, her voice soft. Elon sat beside her, the photo in his pocket. She's still with us. They started a foundation in Malala's name, aiding Erebus survivors and exposing corporate corruption. Their work a tribute to her fire. The town's diner, once a hub of whispers, became a meeting place for survivors, their stories weaving a new narrative. Elon met others like Greta kids who'd been taken, now reclaiming their lives. One, a boy named Malcolm, after Malcolm X, thanked Elon for the chip's leak, his freedom a direct result. A year later, Elon stood before a crowd in Washington, D.C., Greta beside him, her strength growing. My mother, Malala, and my friend Serena gave everything to stop Ares, he said, his voice carrying. This is for them, for every child they hurt. The crowd cheered, and Greta squeezed his hand, her eyes bright. Justice wasn't perfect, some. Ares leaders vanished, their wealth a shield, but the labs were gone, the victims free. Back in Nevada, Elon and Greta rebuilt their home, adding a room for Marie, who'd become family, her medical expertise guiding Greta's recovery. They planted a garden, Malala's favorite flowers blooming under the desert sun. Elon joined a local boxing gym, channeling his anger into discipline, his fists a reminder of the fight he'd won. Greta enrolled in school, her curiosity returning, her paintings earning praise. One evening, they stood on a hill overlooking the town, the desert stretching beyond, its secrets laid bare. Greta held Malala's photo, her voice steady. She'd be proud of you. Elon smiled, his scars fading. Of us. They walked back, the stars above a canvas of hope, the town no longer a prison but a place to heal. The foundation grew, its reach global, and Elon spoke at survivor rallies, his camera capturing their resilience. Greta's art hung in galleries, each piece a defiance of Erebus's grip. Marie's research into neural recovery offered new treatments, a legacy for Serena's sacrifice. The desert, once a grave, was now a symbol of survival, its sands holding no more lies. Elon looked at Greta, her laughter echoing as she chased fireflies, and felt Malala's presence, her love unbroken. They'd lost much, but gained a family, a purpose, a future where no child would be taken again. Under the desert sky, they stood together, whole at last. From a desert disappearance to a sun's relentless quest, Elon exposed a town's dark secret. Thanks for listening. Like, share, and subscribe with notifications on to catch our newest videos. Don't miss the next thrilling tale.